Guys, Led Zeppelin was popular in the 70s, yeah?
Yeah.
You know what was popular in the 70s?
What?
Really good movies.
Ha ha ha.
Haha, we have one on our hands today. Oh boy, it's The French Connection, directed by William Friedkin. William Friedkin, of course, the director of French Connection, is also the the wickedly talented, acclaimed director who also directed. Didn't he direct The Exorcist, guys?
Yes. Yeah.
As well as Sorcerer.
Sorcerer with Scheider.
Which is a remake of Wages of Fear.
He did
Rules of Engagement in 2000.
Yeah, he did To Live and Die in L.A. with Willem Dafoe.
Yes. Cruising
with Al Pacino.
That's a famous one. Wow. French Connection and The Exorcist. Those are two staples in the 70s.
Are those back to back?
Cinema. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, well, yeah, he's quite an incredible film director.
It's quite impressive. I still need to see The Exorcist.
Oh, it's bad.
I need to see Killer Joe, which I've heard is
pretty great. Kind of
so good, but I haven't seen it.
I also feel like William Friedkin is in every filmmaker documentary.
Oh yeah, he'll show up for anything, and he's just such a
you know what I mean?
And John Carpenter. John Carpenter shows up a lot. You always see him with his hair and his mustache, and he's always talking about stuff.
They got a lot of time on their hands. They got a lot of time to talk.
I guess so.
I remember I had
they're probably not making good movies anymore.
Oh well, William Friedkin.
Killer Joe came out 2011.
He's definitely had a comeback. Yeah, but I mean, there's a period where they weren't making a lot of movies. But he's definitely kind of one of the 70s directors that kind of got this one under the rug. Don't only talk about him anymore. Talk about Scorsese or Spielberg. But
yeah.
I remember I had an Exorcist DVD, and before the movie starts, he does an introduction for it, and it's him in his living room with a pink sweater on, and he's like, The Exorcist was a controversial film on its initial release, and a lot of audiences didn't even know what to make of the movie, but today it's seen as a cult classic. It's just
cult classic.
He's just sitting in his
praising his own film.
I know.
In a pink sweater.
When I made it, I didn't even know what I was doing. Let me tell you, it's just funny. But yeah, The French Connection. He won Best Director at the Oscars. The film won Best Picture. Gene Hackman won Best Actor. It was a big critical success upon its release in 1971. Let's talk about it.
It's about two cops. One played by Roy Scheider, the guy from Jaws who says, "You're going to need a bigger boat." You guys remember that part in that movie? Then the other cop is Gene Hackman, playing Popeye Doyle. Popeye Doyle, how you doing? Popeye Doyle, draw your weapon.
You pick your
hands on the wall. You pick your feet, and what does he say? Poughkeepsie. How you doing? Slice a piece and a cup of coffee. It's a stakeout, you know what I'm saying? And these guys are trying to bust this drug smuggling ring based out of France. Or it's kind of just a drug smuggling deal. Kind of deal.
Switch.
And it's the French Connection. Get it? Because it's from France.
That's basically the premise of the movie.
That's basically the entire premise of the movie. It's got some of the coolest chase scenes. I think it's awesome how in the beginning, Gene Hackman is dressed up like Santa Claus and he's giving hot dogs to little kids. And then when the guy runs out of the bar, Roy Scheider's chasing him, and then he just immediately starts chasing after him.
So it's Roy Scheider and Gene Hackman as Santa Claus running down New York City street.
Right. And that's funny because if you guys have ever seen the film Hot Fuzz, there's a scene where they're telling all the things that happened to the main character, Nicholas Angel, and there's one scene where there's one part of the montage where he's talking about how he was stabbed in the hand by a guy dressed as quote unquote Father Christmas, and it's actually played by Peter Jackson, the guy who's plays Santa Claus, and I think that's a direct reference to the French Connection because when I saw the Santa Claus running after a perp, I was just like, oh yeah, that's got to be it.
Also comes from Gene Hackman's character and his craziness and how he takes things to another level compared to other cops.
To an extreme level.
To an extreme level.
This movie also contains one of the most famous chase scenes in cinema history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The awesome chase scene where Gene Hackman steals this kind of sporty red car.
Yeah.
And is chasing the elevated train while this French guy is on there.
Mm-hmm.
He's got it hijacked, and you just the way it's filmed of the car going through these busy streets, you know, cross-cutting between that and this train that's pretty much going.
There are even shots where you see the train and the car in the same frame, and it's just fast-tracking shots.
And it's just like the train's on the top, the car's on the bottom. It's really amazing.
It's great.
And the film was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Screenplay.
I believe so.
And yet there's not a lot of dialogue.
No, there isn't.
Because I think what it is just the action is just so good.
Mm-hmm.
The scene, a lot of the scenes, some of the best scenes just don't even have any dialogue. It's just scenarios and
screenplay
reactions and actions and suspense and
absolutely. And I think this has always been kind of confusing for me. I wonder if the Academy actually reads the screenplays of these to give them these awards, because sometimes I feel like they just give them to dialogue, just when there's really good dialogue, instead of actual writing for the screen, which, as you're saying, involves a lot of action, involves a lot of different elements than just what you hear coming from the characters' mouths.
Right.
It did win Best Screenplay. Best writing screenplay based on material from another medium. Best adapted screenplay. They shortened that. Best film editing, best director, best actor for Gene Hackman, and best picture. So this movie locked it up. It was also nominated for Roy Scheider was also nominated for best actor in a supporting role. Owen Roizman was also nominated for best cinematography and also best sound. So
cinematography and the sound are excellent too.
Oh yeah. So this film, I mean, is critically and popularly acclaimed. So we knew all this going in, and did we like it?
I mean, I'd seen it before. I mean,
and you'd seen it before, Grant? Had you?
No, I'd never seen it before. No.
Okay. Neither had I. I liked it.
I've always been like saying, "Oh, this movie's so great."
Yeah, I thought it was really great.
I didn't know what to think of it at first when it started out with like the French guy with the baguette.
Yeah, I never been crazy about the French scenes. I always feel like you could just have it just strictly from the cop's point of view and just have a great movie.
It's kind of like Bond films where you're just watching the villain. It's just like, go back to Bond.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, what a duo. Gene Hackman and Roy Scheider, like two great actors from the 70s.
Oh, yeah.
Just like being total manly men.
Yeah.
And running around.
It's so great to see Roy Schneider like open up a cigarette in his mouth, and then he sees somebody he's supposed to follow, and he throws the cigarette on the ground and just runs after.
I gotta go.
And it's just so like he's just
close the beaches. Yeah, I mean it's it lives up to all of its acclaim.
It definitely has that strong 70s aesthetic of just shooting in New York. You capture so much of the history of you capture so much of just the city at that time.
New York in its most seedy.
Yeah, it's definitely in that approaching that level.
I try not to be a sap, but I swear sometimes I feel like the movies that have been made in the past 10 years and the movies that were made in the 10 years between 1970 and 1980, it's just like
night and day. It's like
it's so. I try not to be some jerk, but I mean,
I think that too. But I mean, I was so weird. Yesterday, I was like going to see Nymphomaniac, and I was thinking like, I mean, I'm pretty fortunate that I could see like The Great Beauty one week and then Nymphomaniac the next week.
Right.
Within the
Great Beauty. I don't know if you put it up there in the hierarchy.
I think I put Great Beauty and Nymphomaniac just a little higher than
probably
right now.
From what I'm hearing about Nymphomaniac. What you're telling me.
But just like I think we're very lucky to have the films that we have. And I think someone in my history and arts class said we always look at the films that are the best But you know that year there were plenty of films that were bad as well. God. I mean, but like
the bad films in the 70s completely outweigh the bad films nowadays. I mean, like I bet there are some absolute piles of garbage in the 70s that are just unwatchable nowadays. Whereas we have like Grown Ups too.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's our kind of cultural black hole. But I mean, yeah, you can talk about the acting. You can talk about the writing. The pacing of the film is really good. I want to talk about the ending. It's ambiguous without actually, like, it resolves everything sort of because it tells you everything that happens.
Yeah.
In this like Animal House style.
Where they all went.
Picture thing.
It reminds me a lot of like the ending of like All the President's Men, where it just like. You feel like it's. I've always felt like it's a little inconclusive for the film that it is.
Yeah.
I think it's fine to be ambiguous, but I think for the film that it is, it never really gelled with me completely. Same with All the President's Men, where it ends with Dustin Hoffman and Robert Redford just typing, and then it just, it fades out. It's like, these people got convicted of these crimes. The end, And it's like, I feel
it's also like when something's based on reality, you have to be true to that.
That's true.
Like if you guys have seen, I don't think you guys have seen Pain and Gain, right?
No.
That film is ridiculous, and it's insane, and it's paced very weirdly, and the story goes all over the place. But it's all something that actually happened. So
I mean, so The Wolf of Wall Street, that ending is great. Like it's ambiguous, but it's it hits perfect.
Yeah, and it gives you this kind of ending that's true to real life, but also is good for a film. Pain and Gain's ending is very strange, but it resolves itself and it makes it good enough for like a film, and it stays true to reality. French Connection, there's just basic things about that ending that kind of irk me in weird ways. They're just kind of like,
really?
That's kind of strange. How he fires the shot and you don't see where he's shooting, or you just hear a shot off screen. You don't know who it's to, so it kind of gives you this ambiguous impression like, oh, they're not going to tell us, what happened. And then they explicitly in great detail tell you what happened, and it's kind of this weird, I'll say it, juxtaposition between an intentionally ambiguous shot or sequence, and then followed by the most descriptive, clear telling of what happened. And I just think that's just kind of a strange way to end a film. I don't think it's bad, because I mean, even if the ending was bad, even if it were, the whole film itself stands on its own.
Oh yeah, I think it works even if you don't like the ending. I think it still works.
I think basically what it says is, don't pay attention to that last gunshot. It's just kind of like a technical flair, just to kind of end things in an interesting way.
That's what I think it is more.
Yeah.
It's not. I don't think it's too much involved with the story, because they tell you everything afterwards.
Right.
All you need to know is what they show afterwards. So
the strange thing is, and when the guy has the money in the car and he drives back over the bridge and there's a bunch of cop cars waiting for him, and Gene Hackman waves to him.
Yeah, it was the same way that he gave him when he was on the subway.
I thought, the Full House credit song was going to play, and the titles were going to come down, and it was going to fade out, and that was going to be it.
Oh, really?
Like, I thought that was the end. I was like, oh, he got him. Popeye got him again. Oh, boy. And that didn't happen.
That'd be
kind of strange.
That'd be pretty fun if it did end like that right now.
It just, like, freeze frames on Gene Hackman waving, and then do, and then it ends. But, they went back to the warehouse, and there's kind of a shootout, and then it ends.
Where Stunner runs off a shotgun and wrecks some fools.
He does wreck some fools. And fools get wrecked in this movie very hard.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of fool wrecking. There's some gory fool wrecking, I think. There's those people that died in a car accident, and they're just covered in blood.
Oh, yeah, and it's like, this guy was driving, and it was a girlfriend, and I was like, it's a horrible graphic story of these teenagers dying in a car crash, and just in the background.
I know.
I always say I'm like, oh my god, this is so.
And when he shoots people, there's like puddles of blood flying out of their chests.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a gory. Like when he shoots the train conductor, or the guy who's like the police officer on the train, the French guy when he shoots him.
Yeah, the train conductor just faints.
He just faints.
Just too scared.
Like, oh man!
I feel like in plenty like it's the same thing in Dog Day Afternoon. Just like old, elderly African American gentlemen who have this job. Whenever they put in under pressure, they just have like asthma or heart attacks. There was high people that have like these weird breathing or circulatory problems. I swear to God. In Dog Day Afternoon, when they rob the bank, it's like the security guard has an asthma attack, and he's like, "We gotta get him out of here." And it's a big moment in the movie. And the same thing here. He's like, passes out.
That's funny.
Well, he always gets older people to do it.
But anyways, aside from the gore, it definitely had an ending that was like, it was trying to stay true to itself. It's trying to stay true to the story, to the book. And I think it did that well. I don't know. I think there's
but despite the ending and all that, like, what did you guys think of the heart of the story itself, and like the whole the bad people are rich and the good people are poor sort of thing, like because it's this constant like cat and mouse chase.
Yeah,
and there's like a little bit of jealousy and like hatred towards the people that they're chasing, the cops are chasing.
Yeah,
and there's the constant juxtaposition of like, oh, we're out in the cold and we're working hard, and oh, we're just eating a slice of pizza, and there they are inside, all warm and cozy, eating their steak, and they don't have an honest day's work.
Right.
Like that's all over the place. So
it's a lot like Wolf of Wall Street in that way, because there's that character in Wolf of Wall Street who has to take the cold subway ride home, and who drives the bad car, and Jordan Belfort, the guy committing, crimes, is driving in a Ferrari and lives in a
mansion.
A mansion, and it's the everyday kind of working man thing.
I think that's why people call it a really great American movie, just because it has that American dream subtext. It's
got the kind of Protestant work ethic thing, mixed in with it.
But Gene Hackman in the movie isn't by no way like a very likable person. He's very like volatile and very.
He's not very likable. You kind of like him though.
You like him as a movie character because he's just fun to see. It's just a great performance. But
I think he's likable. I think you're supposed to like him. Maybe he's not like charismatic.
Yeah.
But I like him because he's the hero and he's fighting. Because the person we really hate is the old French guy and the Italian guy.
Yeah.
Right.
Because we hate them already. I think Roy Scheider and Gene Hackman definitely win our sympathy right off the bat.
Yeah.
And we're rooting for him all the time.
And Gene Hackman is this wild, loose cannon guy, but at the same time, and there can be, he says and does things that you don't like, but at the same time, when he's on a case and when he's doing something, he's trying his absolute hardest.
Yeah, I think there'd be so many cops that during that chase scene with the subway, giving up at one point, he goes all out and like it just ends, and he's like so exhausted at the end of it.
Yeah.
Just to shoot a guy in the back, and it's just like
I know he nailed him.